Hello, everybody. Welcome to another amazing, wonderful, fantastic webinar. The first one that I am doing for 2026. So I hope that everyone is having an absolutely wonderful, fantastic new year. That being said, what I want to do is this I want to jump right into everything. I want to get into our practice questions. We're doing practice of real estate today. So if you're here with us live or on recording, please do hit that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. And remember, if you haven't joined our community over at passbuddy.com, head on over to passbuddy.com. That is where we have all of our practice questions. You could sign up for private tutoring. Listen, I'm going to tell you this, not because it's something that I sell, that I promote. You could do it with any other instructor too. I really do genuinely think that private tutoring, if you haven't made that a part of your study plan, it's something you should be doing. And here's the reason why. The reason why I say that is because even if you don't understand what you might be going over with a tutor, it's a situation where it will help you, sometimes even just asking some questions about the test, because a lot of you have taken the course online. So tell me in the chat if you've taken the course online and you didn't have a live instructor, because I'm going to tell you something that we talk about in class when we have a live instructor that you don't talk about when you have an online self-paced course. We talk about the nuances of the test. We talk about it's not necessarily so much the live instruction as it is the small conversations that are had throughout the course. The questions of, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And also, too, just the practice of real estate, too, getting into the business, having an instructor there with you live, you get different kinds of feedback that you don't get in a self paced class. Now, also, in a private tutoring session, you could ask those questions, but you could also get really, a good soundboard for what you know and what you don't know. And if you do the questions on Pass Buddy, which I do suggest that you do, it's a situation where what happens is this: you could always add to your tutor list. And there's a reason why we put that in there. And I'm going to get to the question in a second. But the reason we put that in there is because so many students do say, oh man, I don't know what I want to go over. I don't know what I want to cover, and you might not have great notes. I always recommend having a notepad with you when you study so that you could write down the things that you're struggling with, the things that you're unsure of, so that you can get a better sense of things. But it's a situation where we do that for you. So when you're taking a practice quiz on passbuddy.com, you could literally just hit add to tutor list. And then when you sign up for private tutoring, I can go in, or any one of our tutors could go into the system and basically see all the questions that you have marked, and we could go over the things that you're struggling with. So there's no downtime. Now, speaking of downtime, let's just jump right into this question. It says, which of the following is a correct example of blockbusting? Is it a realtor tells homeowners their property value will drop because a certain group is moving in? A realtor showing homes only to certain racial groups? A bank refusing to give loans in certain areas, or a private club restricting act refusing to rent to minorities? What say you? What say you? What do you say in the chat? So, some of you were saying that blockbusting, because students get this confused, okay? Students get it confused when they get this confused with steering a lot, right? Because they're similar, and we'll talk about the differences, right? But if a realtor tells a homeowner the value will drop because a certain group is moving in, you're causing fear or panic. okay, um, in a homeowner to say, hey, maybe I should sell now. Maybe I should sell the home now because these people are moving in. And these people have to be a protected class. So it's a situation where if let me ask this question for those of you who are here with me live, okay? If a garbage dump was being built down the road. So there's a garbage dump being built down the road, okay? And I said to a seller, man, this garbage dump is being built down the road. Your property value is going to really decrease from your home. You should probably sell now so that you can maintain the value because once that dump is built, okay, once that dump is built, it's a situation where you're going to really lose value in your home, right? You're going to not have a ton of value in your property. Okay. Is that blockbusting? Yes or no? So, for those of you who said no, that's not blockbusting, a very good answer because that is the correct answer. That is not blockbusting because eh, ha- doing that, okay, listen to what I'm going to say. Saying, hey, a garbage dump is going to be built down the road, okay? Although that might feel, here's what it feels like, right? Okay. And this is what I want to make sure you recognize. It feels opportunistic, right? It feels like you are panicking someone into selling, like, hey, this might happen. So you want to preserve the value of your home. So you might be saying, hey, that is panic selling. That is blockbusting. But here's the thing, real estate professionals um, do this all of the time because there are market conditions, there are factors that someone might want to take into consideration that are valid and not illegal to point out to them, right? And not illegal to point out to them. So the fact that a garbage dump is being built down the road, the garbage dump is not a protected class, right? Is not a protected class. So it's a situation where that wouldn't necessarily be considered blockbusting, right? I mean, well, I wouldn't be considered blockbusting, right? Now, the other thing that real estate agents do, and again, we talk about market conditions, right? Interest rates going up, interest rates going down. Those are conversations that are good and should be had, right? Those are good and conversations that should be had. You should be encouraged to have those. That is not blockbusting, right? I say, hey, interest rates are going up. You should sell your property now. Interest rates are going to increase. You should think about selling your property now to preserve value. There's nothing illegal in that. Again, will it produce some sort of fear in regards to the seller missing out on a value or, that they need to move forward with something? Yeah, that might happen, but that is not blockbusting, right? That is not blockbusting. So I wanted to make sure that you understood the difference there. Now, a private club operating dwellings for other than a commercial purpose, okay, insists only on renting to its members. This act is illegal unless membership is dedicated to a certain nationality only. Legal under federal law but prohibited under state law. Legal but club membership cannot discriminate against protected category. Or illegal because all discrimination is prohibited. Now, this is a funny thing because I talk about this often because a lot of people say, I don't know what they mean by a private club. And let me actually give you an example. This is real life, true examples. Okay. Now, my ex-wife was a member of the Cornell Club. So we as a family, we were members of the Cornell Club because she graduated Cornell University and we would always go to events and being a member of the Cornell Club. So she was an alumni. And as an alumni, what happens is this: we would join this club and we would have access to boardrooms, conference centers, And they had dwellings that were not for a commercial purpose, right? They were for members, right? So then these dwellings looked like apartments and things like that that you could rent out in various cities. And here's the thing: they had them usually in major metro cities. Um, so in New York City, when we would go to New York for an event or for something, um, we would we would take up lodging in the Cornell clubs. Like it looked like if I spun you around, blindfolded you, and put you in the middle of this building, it would look like a hotel. It would operate and look like that, but it was for members only, right? So, could they discriminate and say, "Hey, we will rent only to members"? Yeah, as long as club membership does not discriminate for any reason, right? So if you're in a situation where the club says, hey, we're not going to allow anyone who is Jewish to join our club, well, that is discrimination against a religion, and it would be a situation where they would not you could not limit your dwellings to only members, right? Because your membership is discriminatory. So being a member of the Cornell Club, right? We do not discriminate against any protected classes. As long as you are Cornell alumni, you could do that. And now, for those of you who are curious, you're like, oh, you mentioned the Cornell Club. So, is there a Harvard Club? Is there a Dartmouth Club? Yeah, yes. Most of the Ivy Leagues, if not all of them, have a club like this where they have similar things. So, when you're thinking of a private club, that is probably one of the perfect, best examples that I could give you so that you kind of understand what that question's asking you and how to best answer that, because that is an exception. So, let's keep it moving and grooving. We're going to do one or two more for today, then we're going to wrap it up. And remember, head on over to passbuddy.com. Also, follow me over on TikTok. I'm going to be putting out a bunch of shorts today, a bunch of different videos of me doing some questions. So that's always a great way to find us as well. So this next one says, which of the following is an illegal practice under the truth in lending advertising laws? Updating sold listings after the transaction closes, using truthful descriptions in property ads, a realtor using that company name in all advertisements, or framing listings to mislead buyers on the listing agent. What say you? What say you? What do you think here? Which of the following is an illegal practice? So, truth in advertising, guess what? If you frame something to mislead buyers on the listing agent, like, let me give you a for instance, okay? It's a situation where if you say, um, something an agent did one time was this: they put in an ad in for a home for sale that wasn't actually for sale, and also they framed it as if they were a homeowner, not a real estate professional. So it was a situation where when you're advertising, you have to be honest with your advertisements. You cannot mislead any kind of buyers to think that you are the homeowner, that you're not a real estate professional, things of that nature. So, listen, everyone, what I want to tell you is this: I want to make sure that you understand that we have a lot more things over at passbuddy.com. So head on over to passbuddy.com for more stuff like this. And also follow us on all social media. Join our Facebook group. You just type in Pass Buddy Real Estate Exam Study Group or just Pass Buddy into Facebook, and you will find us under groups. And we always post when we're going live, when we're doing other stuff, and when we have more stuff coming up. So, everyone, listen, I hope you have a great, wonderful, fantastic rest of your day. Happy New Year, and I will see you all real soon. Have a great one.